AMD stock price is down over 5.5% as I am recording after the company reported earnings. And let me just say, I think the earnings were amazing. And this is a prime example of why me as a long-term investor, I ignore the noise. I just want to make sure the companies that I invest in are running smoothly and everything is going as planned. And let me just say, AMD is smooth sailing at the moment. I mean, we take a closer look, overall revenue grew 70% year over year. The data center segment saw an 83% year over year growth. The client segment, which includes their CPU processor, was up 25% year over year. There were some bad news that I am going to discuss in the video. Their gaming segment was up 32% year over year. Unfortunately, there might be some bad news for Nvidia. And finally, their embedded segment grew over 2,000%. This is pretty much a new addition thanks to Xilinx, so I don't know why they really reported that. The company also did plenty of buybacks and is providing a strong outlook for the second half of the year. So are you going to buy AMD after this decline?
I do want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and make sure to check out fool.com/Jose to get the top 10 stocks to buy right now.
Alright, so first let's start off with overall price action. Like I mentioned, as I am recording, the stock price is down now almost 6%. But I do want to play devil's advocate and say that, hey, this is a stock that was up about 32% in the past month. But even though it is up from its 52-week high, the stock is still down roughly 38.7%. So before we take a closer look at their earnings, I do want to just explain where most of the fear is probably happening with the stock, and I do believe it's with expectations. The company expects about $6.7 billion in the upcoming quarter, where analysts expected somewhere around $6.83 billion. And we all know how much analysts love it when companies miss expectations. During the earnings call, Lisa Su did mention that the company is being very conservative in the PC market as they are seeing a bit of a slowdown here. Where originally they were forecasting a high single-digit decrease in the kind of PC market, now they're expecting more of a mid-teen decrease in that market, and that's what's kind of affecting some of the revenue and maybe some of the guidance expectations. For those not familiar, this is also going to be the first quarter where AMD will be reporting different segments. So the new segments are data center, which includes server CPUs, data center GPUs, Pensando and Xilinx data center products. Then they have the client segments, which include desktop and notebook PC processors and chipsets, pretty much the Ryzen segment. Then they have the gaming segment, which includes their graphics cards and semi-custom game console products. And finally, they have the embedded segment, which includes AMD and Xilinx embedded products. As we're going to see, they saw strong growth in all products. But what I'm really excited about is this. During their presentation, they mentioned that they see continued growth in the back half of the year, highlighted by their next generation 5nm product shipments and supported by their diversified business model. For those not familiar, this second half of the year is going to be super strong for AMD as they are releasing a new server processor, Genoa. They are releasing the new 5nm Ryzen processors for the CPU market, and they're also going to be releasing new graphics cards as well. In all honesty, this is almost the complete opposite of what Intel is seeing. And if you are enjoying the episode, make sure to hit the thumbs up. It does help with me growing my overall audience and overall help the channel out. Also, if you want to support a little bit more, make sure to sign up using my link at fool.com/Jose. Now, like I mentioned, data center market was up 83% year over year, and this is because of strong sales of their EPYC server processors. During the earnings call, they mentioned that quarter 3 and quarter 4's growth is going to be mainly due to this market right here. They did mention they saw a little bit of a slowdown in the China market, but there's still a huge growth in the United States clouding market at the moment. Next, if we take a closer look at their client segment, that was a 25% year over year growth. We can see this is a bit weak compared to that data center growth. Obviously, double digits is super impressive, but one of the main reasons is that PC softening at the moment. Luckily, they have new products shipping pretty soon, and they expect that to kind of overall help revenue growth in the upcoming quarters. I do want to say the one that pretty much freaked me out the most was the gaming market, which saw 32% year over year growth. Most of the growth came from the custom chips that go into the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox. They do believe this is going to grow in the upcoming quarter, but it was going to peak there as quarter 3 is usually the peak for the gaming market. Unfortunately, they mentioned that they are seeing a decline in the graphics card market. And like I mentioned, I believe that is really bad news for Nvidia. At the end of the day, I'm not changing my overall long-term thesis, but I am prepared for NVIDIA and what's to come in their consumer market. So AMD saw a slowdown in the consumer discrete market in Q2. They do expect the decline to continue in Q3, but they expect it to grow back in Q4 as new products are gonna be released. The embedded market, which saw a 2000% growth rate, is pretty funny. I can't believe they included that. But one thing they mentioned is this is a market that's has been very supply constrained, and those constraints are getting a little bit looser. So they do expect this to be a strong reason for the growth in Q3 and Q4. Finally, their full year 2022 guidance expects a 60% year-over-year growth. Again, I do believe that is insane, and I can't believe the stock is down after hours after such a strong earnings. The company did mention that their cash flow from operations was $1 billion this quarter. Free cash flow was $900 million. They ended the quarter with $6 billion of cash and short-term investments, $2.8 billion in debt, and repurchased roughly $920 million of common stock. Due to the numerous acquisitions that they have done, the dilution of shares have increased, but one way they are combating this is through those share buybacks. So at the end of the day, I thought AMD's earnings were amazing. If this wasn't already a big position in my portfolio, I would be adding on over time. But one thing I do is kind of position sizing. It's actually over 10% of my portfolio at the moment, so I am happy with that size. I do want to say gross margins did take a hit, but if we take a closer look at that non-GAAP gross margin, it was actually up year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter. So some of these one-time expenses due to some of the acquisitions are gonna impact the GAAP numbers, so something to keep in mind of. Before I head out, I do want to say there was something super cool in the earnings call. One of the analysts kind of did the math and tried to see how much market share AMD took from Intel in the data center market, and it was roughly 6%. And that alone is one of the biggest reasons to be bullish with this company. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.